What's up guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to be going over first impressions of the Nike Metcon React Turbo. So I really don't want to call this a full review of the shoe because one, I haven't had the shoe that long, and two, there's a lot of stuff that I still cannot do, so I'm not able to get into my gym and train inside the gym. So there's like certain things that I can't do. Rope climbs, toes to bar, like handstand push-ups, like there's just a few things that I can't do here at the house. So I wouldn't really feel comfortable calling it like a full review. So this is gonna be more of a first impressions with also a little bit of a review as well. So with this Metcon, this is actually the first ever React Metcon that I'm actually able to review and wear. The last iteration of this shoe was just not comfortable for me at all. I have wider ankles and wider feet, and so those shoes, I tried them on in the store one day and they did not work at all. So I'm happy to say that these ones definitely work much more than those did for me at least. So just starting with the kind of first impressions that I have, we're gonna start with the outsole. So one thing that I noticed is that with the outsole, on the toe part, they have the sticky rubber, and then on the heel clip, they have the hard rubber, which is a pretty normal thing. But here in the middle, they have, on this shoe is this blue part right here. But here in the middle, it's kind of strange. It's like they almost have like indented the middle, so it's like the heel and the toe part are gonna be touching the ground more than the guard in the middle. And I know that from what they've said in like the marketing and stuff is this is supposed to be like some sort of rope tech. As you can see, it's very much so angular, and there's like lots of little cuts into it. So hopefully that will be will make it more useful for rope climbs. Again, I haven't been able to do any of those. But that was what I noticed on the outsole. Another thing that I noticed with the outsole that I actually really like is how angular it is. So as you guys can see, it has these angles, which it makes the shoe feel like it's really wide when you are like wearing it, but it doesn't make like the footprint, I guess, of the shoe super wide all in all. Like it's angled, and it has these like angles at kind of specific places where you would want them, just for more stability, but it doesn't make the shoe overall like feel like you're wearing a boat on your foot. So I've done a few workouts in these, and as far as like the traction and stability goes, I haven't had any problems. They definitely feel very stable. I'm actually really surprised because normally when Nike comes out with like, they have the Metcons and like just the regular Metcons. Those have always been like the great all-around shoe. It does everything. They're really solid shoes. And then they've had like the Metcon, the Metcon Freeze, and they've had the Metcon, the Reacts, and they've had the Metcon Flyknits, and all of these different types. But this shoe doesn't feel like an auxiliary shoe to me at all. It actually feels like, I'm surprised this isn't called like the Metcon 7 or something, because I mean, it's a good shoe. Okay, moving on, I want to talk about the insole. Now the insole is actually really interesting. So in this shoe, it is full React all the way from, the whole thing is React. But the thing that's really interesting to me is the shoe on its own has not much, there is not much to it, right? There's no like midfoot shank, so what that means is like you can bend this shoe in half if you don't have the insoles in it. But what's really interesting is with these insoles, so it's all React, but right here in the middle, if you can see, it's like they have a midfoot shank in it. So when you try and bend this does not bend right in the middle. It's like a hard plastic. You can even hear it when you hit it compared to that, which is just like the React. A very interesting choice for them to do that. I'm kind of bewildered, honestly. Like I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's just very interesting because the shoe on its own without the insole in it is so flexible and just so like, it's almost like just the shell of a shoe without the insole. And normally the insole in Metcons have always had the drop-in midsole, so like the really thick midsoles. But this one, it's like if you don't have this in the shoe, I mean, it's a completely different shoe. And then moving on to the upper of the shoe, I am very happy to say this is a huge deal for me, okay? I'm very happy to say this is not a one-piece upper. And for me, it seems like most Nike shoes now are all one-piece uppers. And someone that has fat ankles, chubby feet, wide feet, have a high instep, like that is the arch nemesis. Whenever a shoe is a one-piece upper, most of the time it just doesn't fit me. It's always too tight. Almost always it's too tight on my foot. So I am so thankful that Nike did not do the one-piece upper in this shoe. It has an actual tongue, and I'm very happy about it. So with the actual upper, it's like split in two. So like right here in the middle, it has the split right here, and on the inside of the shoes, it has this like Flyknit material, but it's actually like, it's like a really thick Flyknit, and it's not very stretchy. Not saying that it's uncomfortable, but it's pretty rigid. And I'm assuming the reason that they have it like that is just they feel like this is going to be a pretty high wear area. So it's like really thick. And then they also have on this little toe cap right here at the back, on the bottom right here. I'm assuming that's like, you know, for toes to bar and stuff, they think that's gonna be a high wear area. So they have an extra little piece of plastic right there as well. And on the outside of the shoe, they have like a really like open and breathable mesh right there, and I don't even know how to explain it really. I don't want to call it like rubbery, but it feels like when you see it, you would think, oh, that's probably not going to be very durable, but when you feel it, like it definitely feels like it's a pretty durable material, and it definitely seems like it's going to be very breathable as well. And then with the laces of the shoe, these are really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen laces like this before, but they actually like kind of taper up. So when the laces start, they're like very thin and really kind of like compact and kind of hard. But then as you go up to where you're gonna be tying them, they kind of get a little bit fatter and they get a little bit more pliable, which I think is a very interesting design. And the lacing system on its own is something that I don't think I've ever seen before. And as I mentioned before, this shoe has an actual tongue. Now, the thing with the tongue is I'm not sure how I feel about it, because it's really thin, and it's one of those tongues that like will move around on your foot quite a bit, which is, it's not that big of a deal, but it's kind of annoying. But for me, I noticed here at the very bottom, like right here, where like the tongue kind of starts, for me, that piece always stays down like that. It never kind of fully comes all the way up. And I noticed, because I wore this while I was walking around today as well, that piece was definitely rubbing against the top of my foot. Now, it wasn't like super uncomfortable, but I can imagine if that's something that continues to happen day after day, that could be like genuinely very uncomfortable. So I don't know if that's just my shoe or if that's something that's happening to a lot of people, but that was something that I noticed that I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. And then with the shoes, they also kept the heel clip in the back. It's kind of an interesting, they made it and then it just ends like right there. And I'm sure that was probably to save a little bit of weight. The shoes are very light, which is nice, but I thought that was a pretty interesting design choice. And then again, like I said, this middle part, the rubber, does come up pretty high, which is pretty standard for Metcons, but it definitely seems like it will protect the shoe quite a bit. So now that we got kind of like the ins and out of the shoe out of the way, I kind of wanted to share my experience with the shoe. So the first thing that I want to make very clear is that I normally wear a size 9 in any of my training shoes. In these, I ordered a 9.5. Now, the reason that I ordered a 9.5 was I ordered these off of a website called Box Basics, and they had like a big warning sign that said, hey, we recommend you order up a half size if you have a wider foot. They actually didn't even say if you have a wider foot. They just said, we recommend you order up a half size. Now, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to what they're saying. I'm gonna order up a half size. Now, I definitely think, I'm like right in between. I'm not sure if I necessarily definitely needed a half size up, but it's not terrible. Like I'm not feeling like I'm wearing flippers on my feet at all either. So that's gonna be something that I'm going to have to kind of play around with a little bit more. Now I will say if you are someone that has like really wide feet, because I would say I have pretty wide feet, my biggest issue is how thick my ankles are. That makes a lot of shoes hard to wear. My feet are relatively wide, but not like gargantuanly wide. But if you have like a relatively normal foot, I think the normal size for you is fine, right? If you always order a size 9 in Metcons, those should be fine. But if you are someone that does have a little bit wider of a foot, like me, I haven't had any huge issues with wearing the 9.5s. Now, as far as comfort for me, these are pretty comfortable. These are pretty comfortable shoes. Now, they're definitely not on the same level as like, I think the Metcon 5s and 6s. So the 5s and the 6s, I believe, I might be wrong, but they had like the dual density midsole. So like the toe part of the midsole was like really, really soft, and then the heel was a little bit harder. These are kind of, it's the same density all the way around, but personally, I didn't really like the dual density midsole. I felt like it was a little too squishy in my toes, so I wasn't a huge fan of that. So that's what I'm saying is like, these don't feel like it's like a spin-off of a Metcon. Like this feels like a new Metcon, and it feels like a good Metcon. So when it comes to stability, I mean, these are some of the best shoes I've used in quite a while when it comes to stability. I haven't been able to do anything crazy heavy, but I've done quite a bit of like dumbbell movements, a little bit of barbell movements, and there hasn't been a movement that I've done that I was like, ooh, these aren't like feeling super hot. And then on top of that, the burpees and the plyometric movements have all felt really good as well. Now, whenever I do these reviews, people always ask me what's it like to run in XYZ shoe. I mean, they're fine to run in. I am not a fan of running in CrossFit shoes. I like to run in running shoes. So I feel like I can never really answer that question very well, because I don't like running in any CrossFit. There's never been a CrossFit shoe that I was like, I like running in this. Other than like the first Metcon Free, that was probably my favorite shoe to run in. But that was a Metcon that was made for running. So it's like, it's fine to run in. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, because I'm always comparing it to actual running shoes, but you certainly can run in these shoes. But all in all, I am very, very impressed. Not that I shouldn't be that impressed. I mean, it's Nike, right? But I'm impressed with these shoes. I really think that, like, personally, I think a lot of people are really going to like these shoes. I feel like they're very inoffensive as far as there's no really glaring weaknesses. There's no really, like, people that I feel like these won't fit. Honestly, like, the only people that I can see maybe not liking these are people that have, like, a really narrow foot. Because I know some people, for whatever reason, don't really like when their shoes have a lot of room. I am the opposite. The more room, the better for me, personally. But some people don't like that, and these are definitely very roomy shoes. Maybe that's because I have a half size up from my normal size, but I honestly think if I was wearing a size 9, they would still be pretty roomy. All in all, I mean, Nike, I really think that they have a winner here. So there you guys go. That is my first impressions / mini review of the new Nike Metcon React Turbos. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I want to make it clear I am not sponsored, or I bought these shoes with my own money. I paid full price for them. So these are just my genuine thoughts. I just really like shoes, and I like sharing them with you guys. So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, let me know down in the comments, and hopefully I'll be able to get to them, or someone else will be able to get to your question as well. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.